Hey guys, I've got a few points that I just want to hit on today around building a business, and whether you're starting out or whether you're mid-range or whether you're just struggling in business. There's a few things that I've been talking about lately that I just think are important to get out there. So I thought I should just jump on and share them with you guys. I would prefer it if it's a little bit more interactive. Now, normally I wouldn't make it interactive because that then goes into a whole new game, and you start doing individual questions. We end up here for a long time, but I like it. I much prefer it when I'm dealing with my other groups, or if I'm doing one-on-ones. I love interaction. I mean, my genius or my skill is when I can listen, interpret, and then redirect. So quite often when I'm talking, I'm just talking on experience. So it may or may not help you as clear or as much clarity as it does when we get interaction. So by all means, throw in any questions that you got while we're going. I'll keep stopping every now and then, and if we've got something, I can dive into it. Always end up looking at myself. You're an idiot, mate. Cool. So what I wanted to talk about today quickly was everyone in this group especially wants to become better. They want to become a better version of themselves. And generally speaking, most of you that are in here want to do some sort of business, or get better at your career, or you just want to show up more. Maybe you want to create wealth. You want to create a wealth plan. You want to create a business that you can really dive into. And a lot of the mistakes I see generally happen when you start. Before you start a business, you've actually got a clue. It's funny, but you have an idea. You want to be real. You want to be authentic. You want to cut all the bullshit out. You don't want to do all the marketing. You don't want to do all the selling. You want to get right away from all the garbage. And whenever you get into self-development, that's what you learn about. You learn about truth. You learn about authenticity. You learn about showing up. You learn about staying away from all the bullshit, the drama, and all of a sudden you're in this really good place. Then you decide, now that I'm in a good place, I'm going to create a business. And when you go to create a business, it's hard, because all of a sudden telling the truth, being authentic, and doing all that stuff and building a business almost seems impossible. So you make the first mistake by completely getting out of your lane and doing all the shit that you shouldn't be doing. Everybody does it. Then they get lost. They're still authentic. Don't get me wrong. They're authentic and they tell the truth, but they don't learn how to market. They don't learn how to do sales. They don't learn how to do the skills that are involved in a business. And you can do all that with authenticity, and you can do all that by showing up and being yourself. So it's just another learning curve. And this is where I come in with a lot of people. I really like to be able to show them what I had to go through to be able to take that real authenticity behind me. Like, I wanted to create a business and help people. And then I had to struggle through all of the shit. And I had to realize that I didn't want to sell. I didn't want to market, but you have to. If you can't sell, if you can't speak, if you can't market, then you can't run a business. If you can't lead, if you can't manage, if you can't show up, then you can't run a business. Because all of those skills that you learn when you're doing self-development are pertinent to run a business. So look, I've written down a few things, and I'm happy to jump in on any questions if you guys have any as we're going. Hey, Will, how are you, brother? James, Jay, yeah, exactly. 100%, mate. I know where you're at. I can feel it. So one of the things that, when you know where you're going with your business, that's the first step. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are in a place of, I want to run a business. I want to own a business. I want to manage a business. I want to lead through a business. I want to grow a business. I have a passion and a purpose to be part of a business, but I don't know what to do. And brainstorming is a wonderful thing. I love to brainstorm. I've done it many times with me, and I've dived into things that I never actually thought about were a good business idea. I've done it at events. I've done it with coaches, and I've certainly done it with clients where we brainstorm things and we can dive right into their inner self and find a business idea that didn't even come up, because you get clouded with all of the shit that's out there. Everyone wants you to sell something online. Everyone wants you to get a Shopify store. Everyone wants you to sell their bullshit or run a course or sell a t-shirt, because you're seeing that stuff all the time. You're thinking that that's what you've got to do. And quite often you've got to remove yourself from all of that junk, go inside to find out what you want to do, because a business will not run without you. And if you try and take on someone else's idea just because you think you'll make money, you'll quit long before you make the money. Well, I shouldn't say long before, but you'll quit before you make the money. So you've got to find that long-term path. And one of the keys that most of you know this, but the key to entrepreneurship and the key to building a business or building wealth is finding a problem and then finding the solution. So we all see problems every day. I talked about one when I started this live video. My problem right now is that you're up there in the camera, but my screen's down here where I am and where your questions are. Now that becomes more important when I'm doing Zoom calls or one-on-ones, because I want to talk to you and I want to explain with authenticity, and I want to get the energy out of my conversation that you'll understand it. So I need to look at you. But when I look at you, I'm actually looking down here because that's where you are on my screen. So that's a problem. Now, could that be solved? Probably. Will I go and create a computer screen to do that? No, because it's somebody else's problem. I'll just learn to adapt and deal with it. But that's what I mean. There's problems everywhere. Everywhere you look. What you need to do is find a problem that you're willing to spend the next 5 to 10 years solving. And that's why coaching becomes passionate and it's a struggle, but it's something that I love to do because I'm willing to struggle with it, because I've been through it. I've lived it. I've learned what it's like to be unfulfilled. I've experienced what it's like to go through hardships and want more. And then I've learned how to create more. And I've done it all in various steps over the long term. And now I know it can be done. It's like, this is easy to coach because I've done it. So, I mean, that's the sort of thing you got to find. I've had multiple businesses where I've gone in and learned a lot of stuff, but I've realized after time that they're not my purpose. They're not something that I want to spend the rest of my life learning. I'm willing to spend a few years learning, but I don't want to take them further. So looking for a problem and finding a solution is the key. Now, if you're going to create a group, so Will's created a group already, Making Men. That's been something that's been inside him for a long time. It's a passion, it's a purpose. And when it comes out, it's just going to happen. And it's a long-term thing, but it's a business idea that will grow because of the energy that's behind it. So find a problem out there with society, with products, with whatever you see as a problem. And yeah, you got to go and do your market research. You've got to see if it's viable, if there's going to be people that are interested in it, and then find the solution. I mean, one of the things here, and this is what happens when you brainstorm, is we all come up with multiple ideas. Every day I come up with multiple ideas, and I'm willing to bet that most of you in this group have hundreds of ideas. Every day you see opportunity and you see idea. Some of you guys might not be there yet, but once you get to that place, you will see ideas everywhere. A lot of you will say, oh, I see all the ideas. I just don't do anything with them. That's normal. Most of us are like that. So the skill is to write those ideas down and push them to the side so that you are able to then concentrate on one. Sometimes when I'm working with someone, I'll get them to prioritize all of their ideas. They might have 10 ideas and we'll focus on 3. But ideally, what I want to tell you today is just to focus on one. So write all your ideas down, put them in a folder, put them in your notes in your phone, get rid of them all and focus on one. It's really important that you focus on one idea only, because every day you're going to see things happen. You're going to see more shiny lights. You're going to see more rabbits. And like they say, if you chase 2 rabbits, you catch neither. So always focus on one idea. Now, when you get that idea, this is where it becomes important that you have to become the authority. So your job from that moment when you come up with an idea is to become an authority in that area or in that environment. Now, if you get to that stage and you say, I don't want to become an authority in that area. Like, I come up with this real cool idea and here we're at it. We're going to execute on it. We're going to implement it. And then I say to you, I want you to become the absolute authority in that area. If you don't like that or feel that, then that's not your idea. And that's a perfect place to be able to let it go and put it off to the side and maybe give it to somebody else. Because too many people want to create money and want to look for an idea and then just say, tell me what to do and I'll make money. And it's like, yeah, there's strategy for sure. Strategy can help you do things, but mindset and energy is what create businesses. So if you don't have that passion to want to absolutely learn everything about that idea, then let it go. When I created my app business, I had to become the authority in that area. I was competing against developers and programmers that had been working in that industry for decades. And I'd done no coding, no programming. no development background. I couldn't do shit, to be honest, but I come in from a different angle. I come in from an investor's perspective. So I became an authority in an area until I was no longer interested in becoming the authority in that area, if you know what I mean. So, you know, it's really dial in on that idea that you're after. Dial in on that one area of focus and one idea, and that's a key. The authority, yeah. So now let me see if I've got any questions here. I don't want to push too quickly in case someone's wants to bring any of that stuff up. Noree is in the house. 100%. Yeah. Look, you come up with more ideas for other people than yourself. So do I. I get ideas every day and I write them down because I know I won't take them. I won't execute on them because they're not for me. But quite often when I'm talking to someone or working with someone and they're starting to dive into certain areas inside of what they want to do, their passion and purpose, I'll go, hang on, I've got an idea that I thought of and I'll bring it out. And that's what it's for. That was why it was there. Rachel's in the house. Hey, cool. Yeah. So one idea, focus on it and become an authority. It's really important that you do that. And you have to look at that as a long-term. If you've got the energy to become the authority in your area, then you've picked the right thing. You're going to do it for the long time. You're going to become great at it. That's all I want you to do. Like the other thing that comes up a lot is multiple streams of income. Almost annoys me to hear now because it's become quotes by people say, I don't know, Warren Buffett and all these people and Bill Gates have all these quotes about, you know, get multiple streams of income and every millionaire has multiple streams of income. Well, there's a bit of bullshit in that. Until you have created one business idea and crushed it, you don't want to be focusing on 7 different income streams because it's dumb. It doesn't work. You've got 7 ideas and 7 parts of your energy flowing out at 12 or 13% in every direction. It doesn't work. So I agree that at some stage, when you do become successful, you do find multiple streams of income. You start to invest with the money that you make from your one business, and you might buy an investment property and then income that way. You might buy other assets that produce income. You may have other business ideas that come off your main idea that produce more income. You might outsource the work behind those ideas. But if you go into one business from the get-go and say, look, there's multiple streams of income here, I can get something from here and something from there and something from here, then you're not focusing on that one important area, that one business. And too many people do this. They struggle with it for decades. I'll see them and they'll say they're in business and they're going really well. And for 10 years, they'll tell me how good they're going. And then they'll finally come to me and say, I'm not really going that good. Can you sit down with me and help me? And when I break it down, I go, well, look, you've been focusing on 6 different areas. What are you doing? Just come back to one. And you won't need as much time and energy in one. You may do 10, 12, 15 hours a day. You may only need 2 hours a day. But the results that you'll get by focusing your energy on one business, it absolutely is imperative when you first start out in any building business or trying to scale your business from where it is. There is better ways to create a product with the purpose behind that. But in saying that, are you trying to create income? Because if you're pretending that you don't want to become wealthy, and if you're just saying, I want to help mental health, which is fantastic because I agree, and you're not being super authentic, then you'll get frustrated at some stage when you make no money. There's a reason why a lot of those types of business themes are charities, and there's a reason why they're not for profit, because a lot of them don't make money. A lot of them, if the true philanthropist behind those ideas gives all that money back. So while I love the fact that you want to help in that area, I do too. The way I help is with my brand Swagger. So I've created an apparel brand, and I donate 5% of all of my profits to a men's mental health area. That's my goal anyway. That's what I will do when I launch. That way I can focus on what I want to focus on. I can focus on quality apparel. I can focus on the product, the brand, and actually build a business that makes a lot of money. And then in the background, I'm doing that with a purpose to give to mental health, men's mental health. So look at how you're doing that and why you're doing that. Because if you put all your energy into that and you're not looking after yourself first, it's like, you know, that adage, look after yourself before you look after your children. If you're trying to look after your passion there, but you're not actually giving yourself money to create your own life, then you may have missed the exact way you want to start that business. But I like it. I like what you're saying. Yeah, crushing it in one area is definitely the key before you start opening up and trying to run multiple streams of income. In fact, I still like to crush it in one area, and I create assets to produce those second, third, fourth, and fifth income streams. I don't want to put too much energy in them, so I'll set them up or outsource them and move them out of my way so that I can focus and do exactly what I want to do. But that takes time. Don't try and do that from the beginning, and that's my point here. The next point, which we talked about before, becoming the authority. I mean, the way you become an authority in a niche is by dialing in on a niche. Like, it's all right to say, let's say you write children's books, because I know Sarah, I don't know. Oh yeah, Sarah's here. So let's say you write children's books, and I only just thought of that right now, so I don't know where I'm taking this. But if you write a book for children and that's all your niche is, children's books, then you've just gone out into a really big pond and you're trying to compete with everyone. But if you can really dial in on that niche and create children's books for 10-year-old boys that love the wilderness, or really dial in on something that makes your niche specific, because then you've got an audience that you can look for, and then you can focus on that one audience, and all of a sudden you can become an authority in that area. The way we become an authority is generally our life. So if you were going to do that, you're probably going to have a 10-year-old boy. And in 2 years, your books may evolve into the next era of books for 12-year-old boys that no longer like the wilderness. Well, we hope they do, and they don't just like Xbox, but do you know what I mean? So it's really dialing into your niche, and you guys can do that with every business you're in. Doesn't matter what product you're selling. Doesn't matter what bricks and mortar business you have. You need to stand out from everyone else, and you need to focus on your niche. What do you do that's better than everyone else? Chances are when people come in your front door or come into your business, you've probably got the same sort of thing as everyone else, but your niche is specific to how you become the authority to get people in. Another example might be a fitness program. Every personal trainer out there is currently trying to go online and do a fitness program. So that's great. That's awesome. But if you want to really dial in and make your business specific, then maybe you'll do, let's say, online fitness programs for pregnant women, or dial into something else that's just not online fitness programs. Now, most of you guys know this stuff about dialing in, but you lose it when you start your own business. I watch it all the time, because when we start to have these conversations about really getting specific, most people will go, well, that's what I want to do. And I go, cool, well, that's how we brand. That's how we dial into that. That's how we find our audience. So you really have to become specific and dial in on your niche. So if there's no other questions on that, dialing into your niche, the next thing that I would like to talk about really is focusing on your offer. So that's the next thing. When you've got, doesn't matter whether you're selling children's books or online fitness programs for pregnant women, or you're doing t-shirts, or you've got a brick and mortar business, like your offer this is where people get it wrong. There's too many offers. Like, nobody wants to make a decision. When you bring someone, especially online, and I'm probably talking more online right now when I think about it, but when you bring someone online to an offer, and that's what your landing page or your squeeze page or your website, whatever it is, when you bring them to an offer, they don't want to make a decision. And this can help if you make the decision for them. Like, bring someone to 2 offers or 3 offers, or sometimes I've seen pages that have got like 5 offers. So I've been brought to the page and I'm reading it, and there's an offer, and there's another offer, and here's another business idea, and then here's somebody else down here that they can refer me to. And all of a sudden, if you give people choice, then they get confused and they get overwhelmed. They overthink it all and they walk away. So every time you're doing business, you are creating a funnel. Every time you have a conversation, you are creating a funnel, and you are bringing people down the funnel closer to the offer. And when you get them to the offer, you make sure that you've only got one offer there for them. When you've got a large audience, that's a different game. When you've got hundreds of thousands of people coming into that funnel, then you can funnel them off every which way you want to do. And you can also retarget and all that other stuff later on. But that's when you're scaling. But when you're just first starting a business, just have one offer. Now, an example where you can have two offers and it works, which I just thought of then, that I was, someone might say, hey, what about this? But when you go to the service station and they'll offer you one bottle of water for $1.95 and then there's two bottles for $2. Like, that's when you've got two offers, but they've already made the choice for you. No one is going to buy the $1.95 bottle and get one instead of taking the two bottles for $2. That, funny enough, that actually pisses me off. I'm a little different to most people. I won't buy two because I don't want to. And I can't buy one because they've showed me how much they're ripping me off. So I walk away from that offer. But that's an offer where most people will buy two bottles of water. So you can do that. And all you're doing there, it's a funnel again. They're showing you that there's a couple of different offers, but they're pushing you into one. So the way I like to put a business together when I'm helping someone, especially in the start, is just give one offer. Don't try and do three different things. Don't say, I do this and I also do this, but I can do that. Because straight away, you've got all these potential clients thinking about, well, what would be the right one for me? What do I want? Like, I'm here and you're selling me something. Tell me what I want. So take away all that choice and just say, this is all I do. This is my one thing. This is what I'm the authority at. This is what I focus on. This is what I'm the best at. Here's what you want. Take this. And that's how you will sell in your business. Again, I sort of want to go through this a little bit more with your guys' questions, because otherwise I'll just talk. What else we got there? Nothing else. Cool. Once we get to that point, so once you know what you're doing, you've got clarity, you've got your business idea, you're focused on it, you've become the authority in it, you've become very good at what you do, and you've got one offer. So now you're ready to take it to market. The big thing that most people fail to do at this point is, and this is all generally speaking, is they fail to identify their avatar or their target audience. So they go to the big bad beast of the internet and they either create a Shopify store and they go, yep, I've got my product, I've got my shirt, I've built the website, I've talked to the web guy, and boom, we've put it out there and we're going to wait. And they go, well, why isn't anyone buying my t-shirts? And it's like, we haven't targeted anyone. We haven't marketed anyone. We don't have audience. We don't have traffic. And that's the marketing side of business. I mean, this is one of the areas when I got into the app business, I found that everybody out there could make an app, but nobody could make money off it. Nobody knew how to market it. Nobody knew how to monetize it. So I become the authority in that area. I had no idea about that stuff. I learned that stuff by going out and paying people to teach me and putting it together and just putting as much effort as I could in to become the authority. Now, that's where you have to get. If that's you, and if you've got a store or if you've got a coaching group and you've just put it out there to market and no one's coming in, then you haven't learned how to market. You haven't learned how to identify your target audience. You haven't learned how to bring traffic in, and you haven't learned how to talk to your audience. They're all the skill sets that you now have to go out and develop. And unfortunately, when you start to dive into them, you'll start to say, well, I didn't want to do that. That's not what I wanted to do. My idea was to be authentic and not do all that marketing and sales and all that bullshit. Unfortunately, you have to. There is a better way to do it. You can learn an authentic way to market and to do all that stuff, but you have to go and learn it. So anyway, that's one of the things that's really important, is identifying your target audience. And the only way you can do that is by diving right down to, why did you start this business and what was the problem in the first place? So you go right back to your beginning. Who were you targeting? Why do they need this product or service that you have? What was their pain? Where was their pain? How can you solve that problem? How can you solve their pain? And that's when you start to dive into the marketing and all of that stuff, so that you can actually you learn about what your business is really about, because that's the work. I call this group the Do Work Foundation, because quite often we end up doing the work that we didn't realize was involved. We thought it was all results. We see people with all the money and all the things, and we thought, we want that. but we don't want to do all that shit work. Well, all the shit work is what you have to learn to do. When you're scaling and you've learned how to do it well, you can outsource some of it, but there's still that authentic side where you should really, anyone that's really successful will still be doing the work long after they started. So, I mean, perfect example for, say, knowing your target audience. That doesn't mean you're cutting everyone else out, but every time you talk, every time you speak, if you're talking to your target audience all the time before you're about to post on social media, because people really get this wrong. Don't post for everyone. Don't people please. Like, seriously, have in your head who your target avatar is, in your target audience. Think of that person and write to that person and post. There's this huge idea that people need more likes and more comments and more shares and all that stuff to become successful. And that's 1,000% wrong. Like, engagement's good because it gets you more eyeballs. That's one piece of the puzzle. But sometimes if you're trying to talk to one person, you only need one like. You only need that one person to see your post, and that may be a person that buys your product. Happens all the time for me. And there's a skill behind this. Sometimes you'll see engagement posts and they're just to get engagement. They're to get more eyes and to share your message to certain people. And then sometimes it's a targeted approach where you don't give a fuck about it. And a lot of you guys might say, oh, that post didn't really go too well, did it? Only got a couple of likes and no one really cared about what you said. Whereas that one you did last week got 1,000. Little do they know that's very strategically written towards your audience. And that's how you got to do it. In the same time, I'll see a lot of people doing all of these engagement strategies and they're just blowing up and they're getting engagement everywhere. And I'll say to them, who are you targeting? What are you doing? What are you selling? They don't have a clue. They just think it's a game. They waste all their life as a consumer on Facebook and on Instagram, and they're creating nothing. So have a purpose when you create a tribe. Create the tribe that you want and create them for a business that you want and be specific. That said, that doesn't mean other people won't like your message. And an example of mine was last week I wrote a post to men titled Men, and I was speaking to men. I was saying, men, stop doing this. Quit acting like this. This is like my message. And 80 or 90% of the responses come from women. So the fact that I'm talking to men and targeting men in a particular post doesn't mean that I'm being rude or ignoring everyone else, because most people, when they feel something, they will respond. So it's the same as any message that you're trying to get out there. I mean, you look at some of the fitness people that they'll be targeting women, or some of the psychologists out there are doing a lot of stuff where they're targeting women, but a lot of men resonate with that because they've seen either women that have gone through those problems or they themselves have. So don't try and people please. Don't try and market everyone. Don't try and send a message to everyone because you're such a good person. Fuck that. Okay. One of the big things that I say to most clients that I work with is you got to stop giving a fuck. Like, seriously, you got to stop giving a fuck about everybody else and start focusing on yourself. Because when you focus on yourself, and this is a hard thing to gather, or it's a hard thing to take, when you focus on what you want, that's when things change. When you focus on what they want by posting what they want to get all of the likes and the comments and making sure everyone's happy with what you post, you're way out of line. Your life's not going where you want to go. So, I mean, if there's a key message in all of this building a business, it's seriously stop giving a fuck about what everyone else wants and start focusing on what you want. You be you, and your business will not only thrive, but more importantly, you will. So yes, there are some strategies behind how to build a business and what I've talked about, but one of the keys goes right back to that, looking for a problem and finding a solution. Make sure the problem that you are solving is something that you believe in and something that you're willing to put your energy in, and you're willing to get 50% haters at a minimum, because that's when you know you're doing the right thing. When people start to hate on you and start to dislike what you're doing, you're finally doing something that matters, because too many other people are trying to satisfy everyone except themselves. And that's where they come up with all the mental health issues. So that's probably, where are we going for time? Shit. That's probably all I wanted to say today, unless you guys have got some questions. What we got there? Does any of that resonate with you guys? Is there anything in there that you want to ask? Are you stuck in any area of building a business, or does this make you think about things? I mean, I know a lot of you guys send me questions about business ideas and ask me, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this business idea. And I spend a lot of my time talking most people out of it, unfortunately, because by the time I ask 3 or 4 really good questions, most people go, yeah, you know what? I never thought about that. Good idea. And off they go. So this is important stuff. Don't just look for any old business. Like you've got to get serious if you want to create a business. Cool. Well, if there is nothing, I've got to take off. So I hope some of you's got something out of that. Niche is a perfect word. That's exactly what I focused on. That's good. It's a funny word and it can be misinterpreted in so many ways, but you know, a lot of these cliche words too annoy me, but that it fits. Focusing on that niche, I think you guys in the States call it, don't you? Niche. Sounds like an itch. Anyway, thanks for that. Thanks, Wilbur. Take care, guys. If you got any other questions about any of this, or if you're watching it later and we're not live, throw your questions in, and when I get a chance, I'll jump on and try and help you out. Take care, guys. Have a good day. Appreciate you. Ciao.